Chrissy Lampkin didn't just break down, she broke. And the guy behind it all, Cameron, one audio leak. One scary voicemail, and the entire foundation of her existence disintegrated in real time. No edits or cuts, just raw mayhem. The leak wasn't just messy, it was painful, raining out things. Chrissy spent years burying Cameron, didn't hold back. And when Jim Jones heard it, he didn't fight, he didn't ask questions. He marched right out the house and never looked back. Let that sink in. Jim Jones, the guy who stood by her through infidelity, allegation, street wars, and TV drama, is done. And sources claim it's not simply because of the leak. The leak confirms a controversy that's been festering for years, a betrayal that cuts deeper than anybody could have expected. This isn't just reality TV anymore. This is a thorough collapse of the most contentious love story in hip-hop. Deceit, betrayal, hidden signals, and you're about to hear the part they don't want the public to hear. And once it's out, there's no turning back. So you're telling me that after all they've gone through, after the adultery accusations, reality TV therapy, public breakdowns, and endless Instagram shade, Chrissy Lampkin is now weeping over a leaked film featuring Cameron? Jen Jones suddenly stood up and walked out like he was done with the whole damn Saba baby. What's going on behind closed doors? Because this ain't just messy, it's radioactive. Let's not pretend this is just another love and hip-hop meltdown, nay. This is a lot larger. We're talking betrayal secrets that were never supposed to see the light of day, and a triangle that could not only be romantic bad. Hazardous sources close to the case are stating that a secret film purportedly made years ago simply emerged depicting Cameron and Chrissy in what appears to be a very intimate situation with candles, lighted whispers spoken, and no trace of Jim Jones anywhere in sight. The timing of this leak is awful, since Jim was apparently finalizing some type of commitment to Chrissy, either another proposal or a full-blown allotment situation, depending on who you ask, and now he's ghosted, stormed out at a private dinner. And his aunt returned calls since pals are worrying her team is on damage. Controlling Chrissy, she's a wreck, one insider told us. She hasn't stopped sobbing since the film hit the internet. She didn't even know it existed. She's insisting it's not what it but. Jim watched it and declared, "I can't do this no more." And honestly, who can blame him? The film is shaky and grainy, but the voices are plain as day. And the chemistry is apparent. Chrissy's expression is sad, but here's where it gets even weirder. Cameron hasn't disputed anything. In fact, he tweeted a cryptic tweet. Hours after the video started making rounds, "Something should have stayed between us." The tweet alone has sparked a digital wildfire. Now many are guessing if this leak was truly unintentional, or was it purposeful? A retribution effort, a last-ditch push for attention, because let's not forget, Cameron and Jim haven't been friends for a long. There's history, there's bad old scars. Some even think the Die-Pet breakup had a lot more to do with Chrissy than either of them confessed. Could this video be the missing puzzle piece, or is it simply the start of a fresh new fight? Let's take a step back. Rewind to the early 2000s. Cameron, Jim Jones, Chrissy Lampkin, all enjoying that Harlem fast life, bling, stardom, street clout. Chrissy was always around. Chrissy was originally known as Jim's lady, then his ride or die, and finally the one who held him down when no one else would. But there were whispers back then that she wasn't always Jim's alone. And though nothing was ever verified, people clock the tension, side glances, and backstage footage, shady statements, and interviews. Cameron once stated on a mixtape, "Keep your lady near or she could wind up with a ghost." Folks thought it was just bars. But now, when love and hip-hop came into play, Chrissy became more than simply a plus one. She was a primary character, a fire starter, and the emotional backbone of the entire /many. Many recall when she proposed to Jim on national TV. It wasn't just romantic, it was history. A woman stepping up, defying stereotypes, and demanding commitment. But behind that moment was a lot of sorrow. Years of feeling unclaimed and unsupported, pushed aside, and now it's like all that strength, all that effort just blew up in her face with one leak. But here's where it turns ominous. According to a reliable source from a love and hip-hop production Crew, there were unseen video sequences that never aired when Christy apparently hinted to a deeper relationship. To Cameron, there were things she said that didn't make it to show the source. Statage got tearful and that she felt abandoned by everyone. Except for one member in that group, she never named him, but we all knew who she meant. What if that loyalty exceeded boundaries? What if Cameron was more than simply a buddy who had her back? Jim has been strangely silent with no tweets. Details nothing, which for someone as outspoken as emotional as Jim is unsettling. Some claim he's locked up in Miami. Others suspect he's wiring up regardless. His silence is powerful, and fans are examining every frame of the leaked movie like it's the Zapruder film. They're slowing it down, increasing the audio-matching tattoos to old images. The internet's become one gigantic crime lab, and the conclusion so far does not seem good for Chrissy. It's not just the footage, it's the timing. Just last week, she was on a podcast discussing second chances trust and how she was finally ready to create a kid. She stated, "Jim and I are stronger than we've ever been." Who image saying that and then waking up to this? The betrayal isn't just. It's personal, it's public, and the streets are talking. Hashtags are flying. Chrissy cheated Cameron, got receipts for free. Jim Jones, who by the method makes no sense but is trending. Nevertheless, but wait, there's another layer. A DM purportedly posted from Cameron burner account to a prominent gossip page months ago asked, "What if I told you Jim's girl was mine?" First, it was disregarded, laughed off, and deleted, but now it's being screenshotted, shared, and examined like gospel, and everyone's asking the same question. Was this a slow burn plan, a time bomb meant to detonate when it would hurt the most? And, Mama Scott Young is somewhere laughing, drinking tea, preparing. The reunion episode of a lifetime, the type of drama you can't write. Although maybe you can, and someone did, because there's one hypothesis circulating that this whole controversy was stage contrived, created for hits, contracts, and clout. But if that's true, someone failed to inform Chrissy, since her tears are real, her breakdown genuine. And many eyewitness was where she has. "I had a panic attack in the middle of a meeting, hyperventilating and shivering, yelling, 'I didn't do this.' And if that's acting, give her an Oscar." Chrissy was transfixed, and the quiet between them seemed every breath she drew felt like treachery echoing off the walls. Her knees weakened, and she sat at the edge of the velvet couch, silently holding her phone as if it had just slaughtered her dreams, which it had. Cameron's film wasn't just dirty, it was explosive. It contained supposed voicemail recordings from years ago in which Chrissy, in an angry voice, seemed to lame it ever being devoted to Jim, and worse, she hinted to a backup plan that had been in place all along. Fans were eager to examine every word, even matching the audio tone to Chrissy's previous footage on Love and Hip Hop. The internet detectives were busy, but, and what made it worse, Cameron didn't post it alone. He put it with a statement that threw everyone into a frenzy. The comment section exploded. Chrissy was plotting the whole time. Jim was devoted to the wrong one. In the meantime, sources reported that Jim Jones had left their house in a black SUV with tinted windows, his expression stone cold. Not a word to Christy, not a single text since the clip dropped, just nothing, and that stillness was louder than any shout. Then came another shocking revelation. A blog notorious for publishing dodgy receipts uploaded an image of what they said was an earlier text exchange between Chrissy and Cameron, in which Chrissy supposedly wrote, "If this goes wrong, I know." Cameron reacted with a cheeky emoji and stated, "I got you, like I always did. They just don't know." Wait, folks immediately began wondering, did Chrissy and Cameron conduct a secret affair behind Jim's back? Was this more than just betrayal? Was this full-blown espionage? At this point, the bloggers weren't just reporting, they were loading gossip. Channels began queuing up exclusive interviews with so-called friends of the pair. One anonymous source who claimed to be a hairstylist for Chrissy's social group spilled tea in a now-famous TikTok. Chrissy used to chuckle when Cameron's name came up, as if that man wasn't her boyfriend's OP, but she stayed mute on social media. Jim Jones, Mona Scott, executive producer of Love and Hip Hop wrote a cryptic statement with some facts, and the industry began to respond. She unfollowed both Chrissy and Cameron on Instagram at unearphoto from 2007 of Chrissy and Cameron in an intimate backstage scenario with Cam's hand resting low on Chrissy's waist and her face far too close to his ear appeared to be indisputable evidence. Photo had been disregarded back in the day, but now it was being exploited like the last puzzle piece. Even celebrities started pitching, and Yandandi Smith sent a shady tweet, "Who karma always had the last say, don't appear fresh. New when the receipt were always there. Meanwhile, remind me," Mel remarked beneath a blog post, "Betrayal will cost you everything." Facts? The reaction wasn't just digital, but financial. Several businesses Chrissy had partnerships with started distancing. A premium wig company she just pushed archive all her collab postings. One jewelry line canceled her future campaign and put out a vague statement about abiding by principles and trust. She was losing business according to sources close to the rapper. He has been entirely off the map in Miami with no studio sessions or public appearances. In fact, a fan shared a fuzzy photo of him at a South Beach hotel. This countenance seemed depleted, like a guy deceived on every level. One day, 4 of the scandal public sympathies started shifting while Chrissy was formally seen
as the ride or die. Supporters now branded her a mastermind. Memes sprang up with names like Plot Twist, Queen. The actual reason Jim never married her. Chrissy, the invisible villain of Dipset. The drama was hurtling into unknown area. Cameron hinted about publishing a second leak involving papers that'll end the tale. And Chrissy remained silent. Still nowhere to be discovered. Every minute she kept quiet. The internet added 10 more layers to the conspiracy. And just when it couldn't be worse, a fresh rumor began circulating. Chrissy could have been the one who encouraged Jim to sever relations with Cam in the first place, laying seeds of suspicion years ago, all to control the narrative and preserve her own secrets. The question wasn't if Chrissy was guilty. It was how much of Jim's life had been influenced by her falsehoods by now. It wasn't just a controversy. It was a cinematic tragedy. Chrissy's name trended, for Chrissy was unraveling like never before. Those close to the sources said Chrissy had walled herself up at a remote villa in the Hamptons, avoiding all press and even cutting off connection with her closest friends. One unidentified stylist leaked to a gossip outlet that she is not answering anybody. Not even her mother. She's just sobbing all day. There's shattered glass all over the floor, makeup smeared on her sheets. It's dark energy in that house. Yet despite her breakdown, the audience showed no compassion. They were ravenous. Cameron knew precisely how to dish it up. Exactly 1 week after the initial leak, Cam returned to Instagram with a second live video. This one dangling a document folder dubbed the Last Straw PDF. For the first 30 seconds, he simply gazed into the camera and nodded as hundreds of spectators crowded the conversation with "Drop it and finish her." Then he spoke. "Y'all wanted answers. Say less. Let me explain why Jim stopped trusting his own team, how Dipet came apart, and why loyalty is a joke in this profession." He dropped 2 photographs on screen, both fuzzy and aged. But what they looked to depict, thrown social media into an absolute breakdown photo of one. Chrissy reclining near a mystery man at a dimly lit lounge with his arms slung over her shoulder, and Chrissy's eyes closed. Smiling photo 2. A hotel room door with a timestamp security cam snapshot. The mystery guy enters. Chrissy follows 5 minutes later. The cam didn't mention the man's name, but Twitter did. In less than an hour chart, mystery guy was trending, with rumors flying over who it was. Some claimed it was a recognized exec in the music industry. Some guessed it was a rival rapper who had dissed Jim Jones in a 2015 single. And the strangest notion was that it was an A-list actress who's been privately connected to Chrissy during her stay in Music Hall, and she apparently wants part of his business music. It didn't matter what was real. The narrative had already reinvented itself, and it grew worse when a third anonymous source claimed To be a former aide to Mona Scott shared a recorded voice note in which a lady sounding strikingly similar to Christy is heard stating, "Cameron knows too much. I told him not to say anything. If he flips, I'm done. Jim will leave me for real this time." The voice wasn't confirmed, but nobody cared. The clip spread like wildfire. Blogs headlined it as Chrissy's final confession. Reddit threads reached 3,000, plus comments in less than 2 hours, and fans began piecing together full-fledged videos exposing Chrissy's alleged manipulative methods throughout the years. While Jim Jones emerged in New York alone at a club performance scheduled months earlier, but he didn't rap, didn't perform. He simply stood in the VIP area sipping a drink. Arms folded as the DJ played Dipset classics. When We Fly High came on, the audience started shouting the Christy of Christy and Jim Jones. He didn't say a thing, just closed his eyes. Some say he appeared like he was praying, while others said he looked like he was reviving every line in slow motion. Back at Chrissy's refuge, sources stated she was constantly followed. After a panic episode almost drove her to the ER, one unnamed nurse told a tabloid that her pressure had skyrocketed. She couldn't breathe, and she kept repeating, "He hates me. He'll never forgive me. It's over." For someone who previously dominated New York's deadliest circles with unwavering assurance, the fall was almost unrecognizable. And just when the public believed it couldn't get more poisonous, a fourth party joined Jim's outspoken no filter. Mother, renowned for saying it, straight went live on Facebook and emotionally and mentally pulled Chrissy by her weave. "Told y'all she wasn't right. Y'all labeled me a hater. You think I didn't peep the tiny, sneaky looks, the hidden convos? Now you see what I saw." The comment savage. "Mama Jones was correct all along. This lady wanted to protect her baby, and y'all clown her. She don't miss." It was the final coffin nail in Chrissy's public image. The ride or die turned backstabber. The lady who waited 20 years for a ring now seemed like the reason she never received one. And within a leaked email received by a sketchy media site, Mona Scott was reportedly prepared to re-edit and re-release old love and hip-hop film with new background, an unknown. Editor stated she wants to drop a controversy. Cut. Everything they couldn't show back then. Now it's game time. So now this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about rebranding history. While brands weren't just cutting ties with Chrissy, they were suing. One fashion collab requested their $60,000 advanced return, alleging image harm. Another partnership sought to cease and desist to prohibit Chrissy from saying she was their ambassador. And although, while still MIA, someone close to her apparently tried reaching out to Jim with a handwritten note. The message, which leaked to the dark room, read, "I don't want forgiveness. I want the truth to stop being weaponized. I wasn't perfect, but I never wanted to ruin you. I loved you, even when I lost myself." Was it genuine or fake? Who knows? But fans were divided. Half felt terrible for her breakdown, while the other half remarked too late. And Jim, he was photographed days after without his engagement ring. The guy who had backed her through thick and thin was now out here, solitary focused, and if the stories are accurate, already being approached by record companies and streaming platforms to convey his side of the tale in a full-fledged documentary series. Chrissy is still hidden and mute, and Cameron trolling. He uploaded one final meme with "I attempted to warn him" with the caption, "Love, don't pay attention." And exactly like that, the internet declared Cameron the king of petty Jim, the sufferer, and Chrissy, the blueprint of betrayal, no apologies, closure is simply chaos.